Well, hello, my beautiful book besties, or shall I say spooky book besties. Welcome to my channel. My name is Liv if you're new here, and this week we're gonna see how many spooky books that I can read before Halloween gets here. Wow, it has been, I think, at least a month, maybe 6 weeks since I have vlogged or talked to a camera casually. Feeling a little bit rusty, but to be truly honest, October has been really weird. We started off the month with a hurricane, which already threw my work schedule, my YouTube schedule, Patreon, like everything like kind of out of whack or behind. But ever since then, I've been in this weird mental funk. It's getting darker earlier, it's getting cooler out, and I just want to hibernate, and my motivation for things has been at a very all-time low. My full-time work has been extremely busy, which is great, but by the end of the day, all of my big plans to weekly vlog and do stuff for YouTube in October literally has gone down the toilet, which is totally fine, but I miss vlogging. I miss just like casually talking about books, and I feel like I haven't updated you guys with what I've been like currently reading, and I feel like this would be a fun week to see how many spooky books I can read because I have a pretty chill week and we are trying to fit in all of the scary books before Halloween gets here. Because once Halloween is over, your girl is not gonna go into Christmas mode just yet, but I am gonna go into cozy fantasy reading only. That is what my heart is craving right now. And I'm so excited because this weekend I'm hosting like a quick 24-hour little spooky readathon over on Patreon, which is what prompted me to make this video. Yes, there is going to be an actual 24-hour readathon within this video, but it's actually going to be a couple more days than that because I'm just someone that actually needs to sleep. Like, yes, I'm going to plan to stay up late on the weekend, but I cannot promise I would even get like 1 or 2 books read within that amount of time. So I'm always scared I'm not going to have read enough books or have enough footage within 24 hours to make it like a full video. That is just a bunch of rambling, but essentially there is going to be a 24-hour readathon in the next couple clips because it's almost the weekend. But for this week in general, I thought I would just share with you what I am planning to read. This stack of books is a mood reader stack. I basically just went through my shelves and grabbed all of the scariest books that I feel like I have to read or books set like on Halloween. But I had to start us off with a couple graphic novels. I have Snapdragon and I also have The Ghoul Next Door. These are both middle grade spooky graphic novels, and I have owned these, or they've been on my TBR for actual years. The past couple months I've been reading books that have been on my backlist for years, and I've given them all 5 stars. So I'm hoping that means good things about these because they've been on my shelves for so long. Obviously with 24-hour readathons, your eyes get tired, and sometimes having pictures is helpful. I would really like to read this because Dead Voices, the second in the series, takes place in the winter, I believe, and again, this has been on my radar for so long. Middle grade has really big text. It's literally 216 pages. I don't have access to the audio for this one though. I don't really know if this one's gonna take precedent over these other ones, but I did want to add it to this list because it is gonna be a quick one, and I really do like what I've read of Catherine Arden before. I added some pretty dark reads to my list, but I also felt like I had to add some like fun books as well, so I decided to add A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. This one is just about a girl that's a Grim Reaper, and her job is to basically, I guess, kill people? I don't really know. I know this is supposed to be quirky and humorous, but I think it's also supposed to have some hard-hitting topics as well, and there's like a mystery involved. I feel like this could be really quick and really easy as well. This, I feel like you have to read in October. And to no surprise to me, or to probably you, I have a Darcy Coates The Fullcroft Ghosts. This one actually has siblings in it, and it sounds really spooky. If I'm gonna love any of these books, it's gonna be hers, so I had to add another one to this TBR that I'm probably gonna prioritize because I really want to fit one more in before the year ends. And then I have Diavola by Jennifer Thorne, which is like a gothic horror kind of social commentary book that is very short actually. actually. It's less than 300 pages and I've heard amazing things about this. This cover is really freaking scary, and it's just about this family that goes on a vacation to Italy and they come across this woman and they don't know who she is, and I'm just really curious about it. I feel like this is gonna be one that I fly through. Another book that I think I'm going to prioritize in this vlog is the Mary Shelley Club, because I've had this for actual years, and I've had some of you guys even in my comments just this year tell me that it's very underrated. It was super fun. I just need to get to it because I've been curious about it for so long now. I don't even know what this club does, but it sounds pretty spooky and it's young adult, so even though this book is like 460 pages, I know I'll get through it quickly, and I do have the audio to this one. I also have The Hitchcock Hotel, which I think is going to be the first book that I read in this video because it sounds amazing. It's about this guy named Alfred who sets up a hotel dedicated to Hitchcock and his films. He invites all of his college friends to join him for opening weekend, but there's some weird sinister things happening. I've heard great things, and the premise of this just sounds very unique and definitely one that you kind of have to read in the month of October. The next book that I'm 100% going to be prioritizing, especially this weekend, is All Hallows by Christopher Golden. This is a spooky horror thriller about some kids on Halloween night. They go trick-or-treating, and there ends up being these other kids that no one knows that shows up, and it sounds really creepy. I need a good fast-paced thriller. This one is, I think, right at 300, like 20-ish pages, so shouldn't be too bad. But one of my prompts for my little Patreon readathon is to read a book set during Halloween, so this one is going to be perfect. And then the only other prompt I have, since this is just something super short that we're doing, is to read your scariest book. And for me, that is Slewfoot by Brom. This book terrifies me. For whatever reason, the cover is very daunting and spooky, and I don't know what to expect. I want to prioritize this one, but I just don't know how quick of a read it's gonna be. I've been meaning to read this for forever. I've got so many good books, I feel like, chosen for this weekend. They are definitely the spookiest books on my shelves. I don't even really know where to start, but I think I'm gonna start with The Hitchcock Hotel because I've been reading a lot of fantasy and I really just want like a quick mystery thriller. So I think we're gonna start there, and I will let you know when we officially start the 24-hour window. But for now, let's just go ahead and dive into some reads. Happy Friday, reader fam. I literally could not be any more excited that it's Friday. As I mentioned before, work has just been crazy insane. I feel like I'm brain dead by the end of the day, and I literally just have not had the energy to read, so I'm so excited that even though this is probably going to be a more simple vlog because I just don't have the energy to create all of the fun cozy b-roll that I typically do, I'm just excited to get down to it and read this weekend. So happy Friday. I currently have here one of my new favorite Alani flavors, which is the pink slush, which is like a yummy strawberry flavor. I'm obsessed. So we're about to crack this open already because I did work a couple hours this morning and I'm so tired. I don't know how I'm gonna make it through sprints tonight. I'm planning to do sprints with my patrons probably 7 to like midnight or so tonight, and it's gonna be a wild ride. I might need to go out and find some snacks or I don't know, something to keep me going. But I did want to tell you guys that I did finish a book this week though. I have read one book and I've almost finished another one. The first one being The Hitchcock Hotel. And my first initial thoughts of this, especially because it's really hard to talk about mystery thrillers in depth, is that this was not as like cutthroat or gory as I expected it to be, and I'm kind of happy about it because I was really scared of this book but also curious enough to read it. Obviously, I'm not super familiar with Alfred Hitchcock. I may have seen like 1 or 2 of his movies, but there was a lot of references in here, but definitely not enough to like throw you off or keep you from enjoying the story. We have Alfred, who was obsessed with film and film classes in school, in college, and he made some friends who ended up getting into some very interesting type of dark scenarios and things that they did. So Alfred invites all of his friends back to this grand opening of the hotel. I love that I could understand a lot of the references because I have seen Bates Motel. Bates Motel is one of my favorite shows of all time. If you guys have not watched it, it's definitely dark, but it's really good. That is such a phenomenal show, and I feel like I was able to relate enough just from watching that show to this book. I think I'm going to rate this maybe 3.5 stars. I really don't know yet. I'm kind of still simmering on it because even though I did fly through it and I enjoyed it, I read it in 2 days, obviously. I would recommend this. It was really fun, but there was also a lot of unlikable characters. There were some predictable moments. The overall big twist I did not guess, but I feel like if you've read mystery thrillers long enough, you would probably start catching on to what was happening. But what I did love about this and other mystery thrillers in general is you have the prologue where you're like, whoa, this crazy thing happens, and then you kind of go back in time and you piece together all the pictures and you're trying to figure out how all the different characters, you know, interacted with each other or how they're related. And that's what I really like about mystery thrillers, is it all coming together in the end. One specific trope I can think of that I absolutely hate. And if you know me, you know what kind of trope that is. And I honestly considered DNFing at one point. I was like, really? Do we have to have this in every single mystery thriller? Like, it's so annoying and so boring at this point. I hate the trope that I'm talking about, but I don't even have any other major thoughts other than you don't have to watch any of his movies really. It's full of unlikable characters. I did predict one of the bigger twists. I didn't predict the second one, so I feel like it was nothing groundbreaking. There weren't any big things in here that scared me. There was some creepy moments, and obviously the overall like old hotel vibe was super atmospheric, but at the end of the day, I have read way better mystery thrillers, and I feel like I'll probably just end up rating this a 4. I don't know, I feel like it didn't deserve a 3 either. So I'm kind of right in the middle with this one. And the next book that is another massive disappointment for me is I'm almost finished. I think I have 50 pages left of the Mary Shelley Club. What is this book? I truly think this is a me problem. I think I'm just outgrowing or have outgrown YA mystery thrillers. I don't know what to say about this other than you guys were wrong, because everybody was telling me that this book was so underrated and I honestly kind of hate it. But I've had friends that have read this and gave it a really high rating, so I've decided to push through. I have not dedicated any more physical eye reading time to this book, and even though it's a quick read, which is why I decided not to DNF it, I just wanted to see if there's any like crazy type of twist. There is one element that has kept me super intrigued though, and I'm waiting for that to come to fruition, but I don't know if it ever will. We have our main girl named Rachel, who moves to this town. The school is full of socialites and rich people, and they throw extravagant parties, and there is apparently these pranksters in the town that will prank people to just get revenge on them, and eventually they find out, oh, it's the Mary Shelley Club. It's like some of these teenagers, but they're like, well, we're not the pranksters. So you're trying to figure out who these other actual pranksters are that are in masks. But let's just say the Mary Shelley Club idea sounded cool until I just found out it was a bunch of teenagers watching film movies together, and they go through these tests where they have to target someone, whether it's someone they don't like or whatever, and they all somehow have to participate in these tests where they have to make the person scream. That's one of the rules. I can't remember the other rules, but essentially you just scare people, and I thought it was gonna be something like completely different or have like a little bit more type of spooky vibes, but instead I'm getting a lot of cheesy slasher vibes, a ton of horror movie references, which I don't watch horror movies, so I have just been struggling really hard to get through this one. Truly nothing about this has been scary, which I mean is young adult. I just feel like the line between young adult and adult has quickly become blurred, and I just don't know what to expect from young adult thrillers anymore. So yeah, anyways, it's a me problem, but there is just a lot in this book I don't like. I really hope this weekend and this 24-hour readathon turns around for me, because this has not been it, but hopefully maybe we're just getting the bad books out of the way first. I don't know what I want to do from here. I think I might go for the Darcy Coates because she never lets me down, or I could just jump straight into my Halloween book. It is officially right now 2 p.m., which is perfect. So this is gonna be our go time with the next 24 hours. I have sprints tomorrow at 2 p.m., so that works out perfectly. I'm gonna start counting my pages and everything, and I'm super excited. let the 24-hour readathon begin. Okay friends, I literally just finished this 2 seconds ago, turned on my camera so my thoughts and feelings are fresh, but I will say the last 50 pages of this was actually pretty good. There was one thing that was overall predictable, but 2 other things that I didn't really expect, so I think it just got bumped up to like a 3 because I don't know, like even though this was very drawn out, it was kind of cheesy. I feel like I get now why people rate this so highly. It wasn't like any jaw-dropping type of twist, but my thoughts and feelings definitely changed at the very end of this, which is kind of annoying because I don't know, it makes me want to tell people not to DNF if you have to wait for the last like 50-30 pages, which is kind of annoying to get to that point where like you're finally enjoying it at the end. I don't know how to feel. Maybe it's a 2.5, maybe it's a 3, I don't know. I just don't think overall I'm the target audience for this. And I forgot to mention that I was listening to it on audio and I hated the audio when I first started it, but as I got into the book I felt like it got a little bit better and she did do the voices of the characters pretty well. So overall, not a new favorite. Kind of glad I read it because this has been sitting on my shelf for really long, but I do not think I will be keeping this book. And now I am very eager, very eager to start All Hallows. This one does not have the best overall ratings. It's like a 3.5 on Goodreads, but we're gonna try it. If anything, I'm just there for the Halloween vibes. I will keep you updated on how it's going. Okay, I'm back really quick with an update because I literally read the first paragraph of this book and I feel like it's everything I need right now, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna read it to you guys because this is the perfect autumn start to a book. In the woods behind Tony Barbossa's house, the autumn leaves screened out so much daylight it seemed like dusk had already arrived. The paths through these woods had been his happy place for all the years he and his wife Alice had owned their house, and never more so than in October and November. The neighbors set fire to raked leaves during the day, and the scent of their wood-burning stoves lingered on the chilly air at night. Alice had never been fond of autumn, had no real love of Halloween, and felt uneasy anytime he cajoled her into walking the trails that meandered through their woods. Too creepy, she said. He should have realized the first time she'd said it that their marriage would run into trouble. I am already intrigued, and I am just getting so nostalgic right now because I grew up in a neighborhood where all of our neighbors would burn their leaves near the road, and I could just picture myself in my neighborhood where I grew up taking a walk through the autumn leaves. Like Midwestern Illinois falls just hit so much differently than the falls here in South Carolina. It's hot, it's humid. I'm just getting nostalgic for the house I grew up in when we used to have like campfires in the backyard. You'd hear coyotes literally in the cornfield right next to us, and that was the perfect autumn vibe, and I feel like we just don't get those full seasons here, which is fine because I don't miss the snow. But yeah, this is what I need right now this weekend, and I'm really excited and hopeful for this book. Hi friends, it is super dark because it is super late and I'm too lazy to turn on the overhead light because I'm so tired. It is currently 12:42. I just got off sprinting for 5 hours with my patrons, so we have a decent reading update. But I am currently 8 hours and 54 minutes into this readathon. I don't think I told you guys that I actually started this. I'm not stopping it while I sleep. so hopefully it keeps running. But I am hoping, or I think I'm supposed to be done around like 3 or 3:30, because by the time I actually like started the timer and everything, it was no longer 2 p.m. like I said. It kind of helps me put into perspective like how many more books I could fit into 24 hours and kind of do the math a little bit. But anyways, we're still going strong. Unfortunately, we have another dud. This is actually a DNF of this vlog, and I'm so sad about it because I told you guys I did not really care what this was about as long as there's like Halloween atmospheric vibes. And unfortunately, there's not even any Halloween atmospheric scary vibes. Like, nothing about this is scary. There's so many content or trigger warnings of multiple different things that are kind of making me uncomfortable. I actually made it 120 pages in, which is like a third of the way through, and I thought about pushing through, but you know what? Life is too short to read crappy books. I'm very disappointed. This book does follow a ton of different viewpoints, which is really confusing, so I also don't want to like finish it on audio either because I feel like I'm just gonna get confused and just not enjoy it. I'm gonna end up tuning out. But this is a lot more of suburban drama. We're following like 3 different families and their kids, which I do like that we get an adult and a child's perspective. It's really fun, and I think he wrote that well. But I don't know, there's too much drama. Nothing has really happened yet. Like, yeah, we're getting a few creepy things happening, like kids showing up that people don't recognize in the neighborhood. But other than that, there's like literally nothing happening. And I don't know, I'm just bored. I don't like the characters. This was pitched to me as having Stranger Things vibes, and that is definitely not the case. So to say I'm disappointed is a very big understatement. I did not want to have a DNF in this video. I wanted to keep going strong, but I'm still going to count my pages for this. So we're doing a page count in 24 hours, not necessarily books. But also, maybe I'm just not a fan of books taking place over a very short amount of time. Like, this is all happening on Halloween night, and it's just reading very slow, especially for a 24-hour readathon. I need things to be happening fast. We decided to put this one down, and instead I ended up picking up the Fullcroft Ghost by Darcy Coates because I need a 5-star read, at least a 4-star in this video. Another thing I did not realize is the Fullcroft Ghosts is the first like 2/3 of this book, and there's 3 short stories here in the back. So I am actually not going to read the short stories in the back because it isn't even part of the audio, and I need it to keep me awake. And I'm just going to mark as the Fullcroft Ghosts read when I do finish it, and just come back to the short stories at some other point. I was unaware that we were going to follow 2 kids. We have Tara, who's 15, and then we also have her younger brother Kyle, who is 12, I believe. Their mother got in a bad car accident. She's been put in a coma. I'm not sure where their father is in the picture, but they end up living with their mother's parents, so their grandparents, and some weird things are happening. The first night, Tara sees out her window this hunched over figure that kind of looks like her grandpa, but has like these weird silvery eyes. And they also find like a graveyard where the great-grandparents are buried on the property, and they're starting to put some interesting things together that have to do with their mom's coma, and they've never met their grandparents prior to this, and their grandparents don't care about their daughter at all. I haven't put together the pieces yet, and maybe I'm just tired, but Darcy Coates always keeps you guessing up until the end, so I'm really excited to finish this. I currently have 40 minutes left, so I'm gonna stay awake past 1 a.m. to at least finish this. I would love to start another book, but I don't know what I want to start because I haven't read like a legitimate scary book yet, and that's kind of the whole theme or goal of this video. But I feel like it's quickly turning into just spooky reads, which is totally fine. But I think I might try to pick up next A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. My next priority when I finish Fullcroft Ghosts and first thing in the morning, if I don't pick these up tonight, is I really want to read both of these. So far, so good. We're doing great. I'm not sure my total page count. I think I've read about almost 300 pages, probably 300 pages so far, which is basically like an entire book, and we are 9 hours in now. So I feel like that's not terrible. I am going to wash my face. I already got cozy in my pajamas on sprints because I couldn't wait any longer. I'm gonna hop into bed and I will send you a little bit of an update, possibly right before I go to bed, to tell you if I finished this and if I started another book. It is now 2:05 a.m. in the morning. I just finished this and I loved it, but I'm so tired, so I will see you in the morning and give more of my thoughts then. Good night. should I say good afternoon. It is currently 1:13. I am 21 hours and 24 minutes into my 24-hour time slot. I have finished Fullcroft Goes, which was so good. I think I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. Your girl is really tired. I went to bed at 2:30 and I got up at 8:30, which is 6 hours, not that bad, but I function on 7 hours and 30 minutes minimum and I'm struggling. So I've got my little mini Alani over here and it's definitely helping. I have sprints, another round of sprints again in 45 minutes. I started another book today. Well, actually I started 2, which I'll get to in a minute, but this was so good. The little plot twist was super good and I just love how Darcy Darcy Coates can create so much emotion in a horror story, but she always leaves you guessing. Like, there's 3 different things happening and you have no idea how they tie together. I loved the dynamic between the 2 siblings. I think I even took a picture of a quote that I wanted to share because the little boy Kyle is this bookworm and he's adorable. They ended up going to the library and he brings back like a giant stack of books, and his older sister Tara is like, how do you even remember which ones you've read? Don't they blend together after a while? And he says, sure, but what does it matter if I forget a story after a month as long as I enjoy it while I'm reading? It's just like so relatable. I don't know if this is my favorite Darcy Coates, but it's definitely a strong 4-star from her. It's interesting how sometimes she weaves historical elements into her stories, which makes it feel very realistic. It's definitely had its creepy moments. I wasn't like completely scared, but she is definitely the queen of cozy horror, and I knew this one was not gonna disappoint. And then I started on A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. I am only, I think, about 54 pages in, but I think this might end up being a 5-star. This is so much fun. We have our main character Kathy, who works for Scythe, which I cannot remember what it actually stands for. Oh, it stands for Secure Collection, Yielding, and Transportation of Human Essences, and she is basically like a body collector where she is given a place and a time when someone died and she has to go collect the body and make sure that their soul makes it on. But she shows up to Connor's house and Connor's body is not there, and she finds him at a park and he says, someone with a Scythe name tag murdered me and I'm pretty sure it was you. She's also going through a divorce, but her husband is actually really sweet, and so she has like her own personal life stuff going on. There's also a whole nother trope in here that I don't typically read in books, but I'm enjoying. This is definitely giving quirky vibes of Finley Donovan, some dark humor, kind of makes you think about your own life, and I really love that Kathy is 42 years old. I feel like a lot of books are written for a younger age, or the main characters are of a younger age, so I love that we're getting someone that's kind of middle-aged, I guess you could say. I definitely want to finish this one in this vlog. I don't know if I'll finish it within the 24-hour time frame. I'm hoping we get a 5-star somewhere from this video, and I think this is gonna be my best bet. And then I also started Snapdragon, which I am a little over half of the way through, and this is not what I thought it was gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna rate it somewhere in the 3 stars, unfortunately, which is interesting because this has like a 4.2 like average rating on Goodreads, so I was expecting a lot more from it. We follow this girl named Snapdragon. She is named after her mother's favorite flower. Apparently there's this lady that is supposed to be like a witch, but she actually realizes that the lady is kind of into, I forget what it's called, where they put the bones back together of animals and sell them. So it's not taxidermy like I thought it was, but there's a whole nother sub-story with that lady and she's super interesting, and Snapdragon is also struggling with finding friends at her school. I feel like there's also some older elements to this, even though it's middle grade, so it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. I feel like it's kind of young adult. I don't think it's gonna be a new favorite. I feel like this vlog has been very all over the place with my ratings. We don't have a 5-star yet. I'm a little bit disappointed, but that's okay. These are all books that I've had for a long time. I've been curious about them and I don't have to be curious about them anymore. Shameless plug, but I absolutely adore my Patreon. It's like hanging out with a bunch of sisters, and we did a little Halloween trivia last night, which was super fun. So I gave the 2 winners books from their wish list, which is super fun. It's been overall a cozy, fun weekend, and I'm ready to finish a couple more books. Alright friends, I'm currently sitting at my desk doing reading sprints. We're doing like the last sprint of the readathon, and here is proof that I hit, well, I promise I was literally just about to show you proof that I hit the 24-hour mark, and then I accidentally hit reset because my microphone just fell off my camera. So I promise I just hit exactly the 24-hour mark. So I'm gonna round up for you what I've read in this small 24-hour segment. So first things first, I read the last 72 pages of the Mary Shelley Club. I read 120-ish pages of this and unfortunately DNF'd it. I also read the whole Fullcroft Ghost story, which is around 200-ish pages, And I just finished Snapdragon, which I think I'm going to end up giving 3 stars, but this was around 230 pages. And then I am about 60 pages into The Grim Reaper. So I have read quite a variety of genres in the last 24 hours, and I can definitely tell that I'm crashing hard from my lack of sleep, but also my lack of motivation is starting to go out the window because I'm not feeling too hot. So I honestly can't even fully function right now. But I did want to give you some quick thoughts on Snapdragon because this was not what I thought it was gonna be. The concept was interesting, it was weird and not spooky or scary, and it wasn't my type of weird story. So unfortunately, I think I'm gonna land on a 3. There was some weird kind of like icky things that made me feel like uncomfortable in here, and there's also some more personal reasons why I didn't really love this one, but I could appreciate the artwork. You know, there was a Halloween night, so that was a little bit spooky. Some of the themes were fine, but overall it was just pretty forgettable for me. So unfortunately, another one bites the dust. This book, on the other hand, I am still super enjoying. It's super fun. There's already so much that's happened in the first 50 pages, so I'm definitely going to continue on reading this tonight and into tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this by Monday so I can give you kind of like a rundown of my thoughts and feelings. Stay tuned for my final thoughts. So I finished this and I'm giving it 5 stars. That is probably the biggest plot twist of this whole vlog, is I was expecting to give the Mary Shelley Club 5 stars, but definitely not this one. This book has everything you could want in a book. It has kind of like magical, fantastical elements with the souls situation. We have a romance because our main character is going through a divorce, but her husband is like trying to win her back, which is really sweet. We obviously have the whole mystery situation. We have a roommate relationship. There is romance, there's humor, there's just so many fun elements to this that I feel like anyone could love. And I didn't have a single problem with this other than the teenage boy who was 17. He was like swearing nonstop throughout this whole book, but rightly so, because someone killed him and he's only 17 and he's mad he didn't get enough life. There's so many things I could say, but I do not want to spoil it. I went into this one blind and I feel like that is the absolute best way to do this, but just know there is some parts that are a little bit unbelievable. But if you like Finley Donovan and you like just cozy mysteries where you're following the characters kind of with their everyday day-to-day life, I feel like you could really enjoy this one. You know that when you get emotional while you read a book that it has to be 5 stars. Like, it takes a lot for a book to tug at my heartstrings and almost make me tear up, and this book did that. So yeah, it is 100% going on my favorites list of the year. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this last fall themed, spooky themed vlog of this season. I definitely had plans to do more vlogs than this, but life has just been chaotic, and this weekend was just a fun, cozy way to relax and hang out with you guys, and it honestly kept me off my phone a lot. I feel like that is something that I've been struggling with lately. It has just not been helping my mentality, so I definitely want to do this more on weekends where I just unplug and I go super hard on my reading and hopefully find some new favorite books. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and thought this vlog was fun. I definitely had fun knocking some old backlisted books off my shelves, even if they weren't like favorites. It's always the best time hanging out with my patrons all weekend long. We just read and chat and it's a giant party. So to all of you that are my patrons, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video in November.